One. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. With me is Elroy. But before we go anywhere, if you have seen this channel before, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give us a shout out. We talk about cricket, we talk about football, and currently there is tons and tons of games all over. It's been one of those days, Elroy. You wake up and you don't know what channel to flip on. So there is the
Yeah,
PSL going on. There is England versus New Zealand. The preparation for the World Test Championship. There are Euros,
yeah,
and then there is the Copa America starting up with. So
true.
let's talk about the Euros. So welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to have you on the show
Yes.
again.
Thanks, Kayur. Lots to discuss and good to have a daily flow of football and a lot of sporting related entertainment over over the next couple of days or month rather. So it's exciting time for sport fans.
Absolutely. And then there is the French Open final as well. I forgot about that.
Oh
But
yes,
let's
that's
start
going
with
on. Yeah,
let's start
yeah,
with Euros. So first few games, a little bit low key. Italy looking really sharp. Turkey, I wasn't expecting Turkey to win, but I wasn't expecting Italy to score 3 goals as well. And then you start looking at Italy's record, and Mancini, he is doing what
yeah,
he does everywhere.
yeah.
24 games unbeaten, and he looks like a strong contender as well.
True. Actually, I had a discussion with a friend before the start of the tournament, and I said that Italy are like the one team that a lot of people are sleeping on. For me, they are definitely one of the favorites. Maybe not the not the popular choice, but they are a very very good team, and you could see it. Like to be honest, Turkey had a good team. Turkey might have not shown up, didn't show up, and didn't play that well, but Italy played really really well. So again going back to the discussion with my friend, he said that Italy is known for the boring football, they'll not win it, but you see the way they played on for the opening game, it was really really good. And they have a young team with some experienced heads in terms of in the defense. So I feel it's a good squad with a good balanced squad, and they can definitely go very very far in this tournament. And I would even say that maybe if the likes of France kind of have an off a tournament somehow, which is what I have a hunch about, Italy have the chance of even winning it. That's my take on it. And yes, the
I
game
wouldn't,
was, yeah,
I would agree
game
with
was
you.
good.
No, go ahead, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, the game was very good. Three different scorers. In fact, he- the scorer, the way Italy played was quite good. As you said, Mancini effect. Their record during the qualifier speaks for itself. Definitely a very very strong team.
So one of the things that you mentioned was the three scorers. It just tells you that players are moving, players are constantly changing
Yeah,
positions, and they are doing things right. And that is what big teams do on big stages. So again, Italians, I would say that they have always flown under the radar coming to the tournament, and then suddenly in
yeah,
the tournament they start building up. Italians usually historically have been slow starters in big tournaments, but this time you actually saw Italy coming in with a bang in the first game
yes.
itself. So I would at this time at least say that yes, they are at least a quarterfinal or semi-final team
Yeah.
from where we see. Anybody in particular in the Italy team that you feel impressed and can be a good addition to Arsenal?
um, there are a lot actually. Arsenal can do with a lot of players that way, but one of the players who has, I mean, I didn't notice him. I mean, if he played in the first game, and he's a name who has just been briefly linked by some not so good sources. Is Locatelli, who's a central midfielder, and shouts for him to be a Shaka replacement. Um, to be honest, I've not watched a lot of him, but you hear and you read quite a bit about him. He's had a good season at Sassuolo, and like yeah, people have been saying that he'll mostly leave Sassuolo for sure, but most likely destination would be another Italian club. But yeah, and one of the players I genuinely like at Italy is their striker Immobile. He is, he had a bad. I think he had a bad time at I think Dortmund, but apart from that, he's been a good goal scorer, and he scored the other night. And he is one player I feel is very, the world needs to be watching.
For me, that one person that I would like to bring from that Italian team to Arsenal would be Mancini. But moving to moving to the next game. So we saw a horrific moment, and hopefully Ericsson is doing good now. But then there was that Denmark
Yes.
versus Finland game, and kudos
Yep.
to the medical staff, kudos to both the teams,
Yep.
kudos to the referee for acting as fast as they did. And it was
Yep.
just a horrific scene, but this is
Yep.
what it football is all about, right?
True.
At the end of the
Yep.
day, it's human beings fighting it out,
Yep.
and
In
it was
fact,
just a shocker.
just talking about it itself, like every time I talk about it, maybe this thing I get a bit emotional because I watched the I watched everything unfold. The only thing was I was having a good Saturday night with my with my brother-in-law and my sister. We were having a good time, and and we see that I was watching the match as well, and but the TV was on mute. And then suddenly I see that someone has collapsed, and the players, how it was, it got a bit uh, erratic, and things just started to players started to run around and to call for help. And next thing you know, it's like chaos, not chaos I would say, but then you see the medical staff running everybody. The thing that shocked you was to see the reaction of the Denmark players. Like all of them, you just look at their faces and they were like shocked. They couldn't believe what happened. And that's where I would say, like, hats off, of course, hats off to the ref, first of all, for stopping the play immediately and handling the situation well. Massive, massive shout out to the medical staff who have helped it. And that just doesn't go to the medical staff, the medical staff all over the world. Sometimes, especially with the COVID scenario, many of them have been underappreciated. People have not you know people don't tend to appreciate the work that they do, the way they have been saving lives. So this would be like a bigger version of it. So hats off to them. And and on a global level, not just last night, but everyone. And one
Absolutely.
special person I would like, two people from the Denmark team would be, one is their captain, Simon Kjær. He took the first thing of seeing that Itis Ericsson's tongue had rolled in, so he took care of that. And he was a leader on the pitch, not just in terms of football, but in terms of humanity. The way he handled the situation, then the way he and even Kasper Schmeichel, the way they got the Danish players to form a wall around so that nobody could see the scenes, what is happening. Like that for me is a very, very powerful message, a very powerful moment in what happened last night. It was something which, just looking at that, I was like, and because when you see it, you look at the Denmark players, they have formed the wall, but you look at them, one person is crying, one person is in shock, some people, nobody knows what is happening, but they knew at that point they had to protect their teammate. They wanted, you know just a lot was going on. And then even when
Absolutely.
Ericsson's partner came down, so like the captain went to her. It's like, and then again the fans as well were very strong in this moment. And the Finland fans gave a flag to cover, to protect, like, so that nothing could be seen. Like, it's a very emotional moment for sure.
It was absolutely. And I was actually, it came to the point where I absolutely updated LinkedIn that this is what you see in a leader. I'm into project
Yeah.
management, and I put it up as that this is what a leader should be like. A leader doesn't always have to lead, he just makes a difference. And this is
True.
what the difference was. So it was absolutely emotional. And surprisingly, in the morning, I had tweeted that
Yeah.
Ericsson was one of those players that he was always a Spurs player, and I could never say anything good about him. But
Yeah.
he was one of those players that I would have liked to have at Arsenal just because he's so good at so many things. He's good at
Yeah.
dead
He is.
balls, he's good
Yeah.
at finding those little gaps, and it was just
Yeah.
sad to see it all over. But I
Yeah.
really hope he comes back stronger. I hope he
Yes.
comes in
Yeah.
and does what he does best. But again, kudos to the Danish team again coming back from a situation
Coming
like
back.
that
Yeah.
and coming back on the field. And they lost, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
it was, I wouldn't say it was a good game or a bad game. It was just
Yeah.
the mental strength of the players was
Yeah.
highlighted. That's
And I think, yeah, quality of play goes out of the window when, a lot of the footballing aspect of just goes out of the window when something like this happens. You cannot judge a game, and you don't want to judge it, or you don't want to talk about, be nitpicky about things. Yes, the players went, stepped out, whatever may have, whether I mean, maybe they had limited options, but, whatever. They've stepped out at the end, they played their They played for the fans who were there. They played for Ericsson. I mean, I don't want to talk about the performance or the result of that game, because that game is something you cannot count, in my opinion, based on the results. It would be unfair
Absolutely.
to any of the team. But
And
let me just say hats off to Finland. I think for a team, they were always known as the underdogs, and for them to come up with a victory, like, credits to them as well. Like, whatever it was
yes.
that they got a victory in the Euros, which is a massive for for an international team. And yes, hats off to them for that game. Yeah.
I was switching in between channels yesterday, so I missed that part. I was actually
Oh,
watching the World Test. I was actually watching
okay.
England versus New Zealand, and
New Zealand.
I was
Yeah.
so hoping Joe Root stays on the pitch and tires Matt Henry and tires all the other New Zealand bowlers. So they come in a
Yeah.
little bit tired when they play India next, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I
That
switched
didn't
onto
happen.
this channel, and it was just horrific after that.
Yeah.
But moving to the next game, Russia Belgium. That wasn't a game that many people will remember going forward. It was
Yeah.
just Russia had nothing to offer.
Yeah. I
Two
think Russia were
defensive
very
errors got
flat.
them the first two goals. Yeah.
Yeah. Russia were very flat. At the same time, Belgium showed their quality and have showed that why people are talking a lot about Belgium. They have a very good squad overall, and you have Lukaku, who's an informed striker who has by far been one of the hottest strikers during this entire season. And so Belgium just did what Belgium was supposed to do. And yeah, these guys, what do you call, Russia were a bit off, but it was Belgium dominance and Russia being pretty bad. But 3-0 was a fair result, and it was a good victory for them.
So this is about Lukaku, right? Lukaku
Yeah.
is underrated. He isn't as talked or as much in the tweets or as much mentioned as the likes of Aubameyang maybe or Ronaldo or Messi.
Yeah.
But if you look at his records, he has over 100 PL goals.
Yeah.
In he has over 100 goals in England. He again is a prolific striker in Italy,
Italy.
and
Yeah.
again it's amazing that big clubs haven't come for him. Like the likes of Madrid, the likes of Bayern or Barcelona haven't come for him, which surprises me.
I think I think they haven't come for him yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lukaku goes to another club. This is at another club come the start of the new season, because there are clubs like example Chelsea, Man City, who are searching for new strikers. And when these clubs go after a striker, that they need a very, very good striker. They're going for one of the higher highest caliber strikers, and Lukaku definitely is into that bracket right now. And I feel that he will definitely be a person of interest to a lot of these big clubs, because his output has been fantastic. He has been judged poorly based on his time at United, but I honestly, he did score a lot of goals. Yeah, he had certain moments, but then he has come back. He's come back compared to the way he was always rated highly. From the time that he was at Everton or maybe even West Brom on loan. So he's played really well, and yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if he joins a top club come the start of the new season.
Let's move on to the other game, Switzerland versus Wales.
Yeah,
1-1.
yeah,
Pretty ordinary game, but the eyes were on Xhaka and a possible Ramsey.
yeah.
And your take on that game? I thought it was a pretty low key game with both teams not really impressing.
Yeah, I think Switzerland had more of the ball and they seemed to be the dominant side, but Wales did come up with a lot of chances. They used to occasionally have these chances, and so it was quite a. I wouldn't say they dominated completely, but then yeah, it was like Switzerland would dominate, Wales would end up getting a good quality chance, and Switzerland did take the lead, and at that point of time, everyone thought that okay, Switzerland are winning this, but then on comes the striker and the Wales equalizes. That would definitely be a massive point for Wales. Switzerland will feel that they have dropped 2 points, but for Wales it would be that they have gained a point for sure, because for them at this part of the tournament where because you have Italy in that group, obviously Italy will be the favorite. So you're competing with the other three teams to get one spot, and Wales and Switzerland would obviously be like two teams who will be fighting quite a bit to get that. I mean, obviously because it's between three teams to get that one spot, and for Wales to come up with that point is massive. It just increases their chances, because you defeat Turkey all of a sudden, and next thing you know, the the full tie is can fall into your favor. So it's quite an interesting setup that they have there.
And when we look at the team setup, I think it was a decent game for both teams because they would have
Yeah.
the strategy would have been to have damage protection against Italy, damage control. Don't let Italy
Yeah.
score more than a goal if
Yes.
they are to lose. Do not let the other team win when it comes to Wales versus Switzerland,
Yeah.
and get the maximum out of Turkey. So that way,
Yeah.
if one of the teams is able to do this, they may end up second and
True. Yeah.
go to the next stage. So I think it was a decent game by both teams. No one was trying to be super risky.
Yeah.
Ramsey was decent in parts, and again, there are talks of Ramsey coming back to Arsenal. There is a possibility that may happen,
Yeah.
but that is a topic for another
Yeah.
session maybe.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Uh, he looked okay. He wasn't exceptional, but
Yeah.
that was what his career has been about. When it's his year, it's his year. Nothing else comes close to it. He just takes away all the
Yeah.
credits. But yesterday was an average Ramsey game.
And then you obviously you had the likes of Bale as well, but there were moments. Ramsey did have a lot of moments, and that shows that he and Bale are the ones who the Wales team depends a lot on. And like you see, Ramsey in the 2016 Euros was by far the best player in that Wales team. He did a lot, and in fact, he missing the semi-finals against Portugal in 2016 is what you can even say could have cost them the Euros in that year. Yesterday, maybe I think both of them, he as well as Bale, had some really really good moments, but nothing stand out, nothing exceptional, and that
So,
was the theme of the entire game itself.
and then the one this morning, the big one, England
Yeah,
versus Croatia.
yeah,
Now, good game. I mean, but the crowd was all English, not much
yeah,
support to Croatia. But in spite of that, I don't think England impressed as much as they should have because of the
yeah,
hype that was created coming into this game.
yeah. Yeah, it was a very flat game, so as to put it. Like England had some half chances, like decent chances. Not initially they hit the post, and nothing, nothing really, really significant. And the overall play was quite. There were some brilliant moments. Like Calvin Phillips for me was outstanding. Sterling scored the goal, but overall, as I said, that England have a good squad, but it just, that style of play of theirs is still nothing fluid. In fact, I was just talking about how their build-up play seemed to be a bit slow and didn't have that, nothing. They wasn't very fast or wasn't really nothing good was coming out of it. But the one time that I see them, I was just thinking about it, that how their build-up is not good. The moment I was thinking about it is when they played out from the back and they actually ended up scoring the goal. So that was one good moment for sure, good passing moment. And yes, they had some good chances were created. I saw a good chance was created for Harry Kane. Mount delivered a couple of good passes in, and they had these chances. But I think Croatia as well were not up to the mark again. This felt like Croatia, felt like Italy of the other day, where Modric was definitely pulling strings. He was trying his best, but overall they felt they were let down. Like Croatia were getting into the box, they were getting into the wide areas, putting in good crosses, but nothing didn't create a very any significant chances. Their chances were quite poor. They had some good shots. I mean, they got into good positions, I would say, but didn't really threaten. That was the problem with Croatia.
The final third was way too slow. The movement in the final third
Yes.
was way too slow. And
Yeah.
I feel that Croatia, I mean, as good as Perisic was a few years back, he's not the same force that he
He's
was.
not the same. Yeah.
The work rate has gone down a little bit. He's not as quick with his feet anymore. And I think that both the wingers were the reason Croatia was let down. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Croatia could have easily walked away with a point, if not three, in this
Yeah.
game. There was
And
everything else that was happening that was decent.
yeah. So, and that's the thing, even though Croatia seemed a bit poor, you always had that thing that maybe they can get the equalizer, which shows how that England itself are not up to the mark. Maybe it's like, sometimes some teams do face that at the start of the tournament and they can grow into it. But because England have quality at their disposal, they have quality players around. But yeah, it was just a very lackluster performance. But for them, I think at the end of the day, Croatia would be one of their tougher opponents here, and to get 3 points is what they want. I see them winning the group that way. So their main challenges will come in the knockout stage.
So the I mean, moving on to I mean, we don't really have many other games happening. The next one is Austria versus North Macedonia. I'm not expecting miracles to happen in that game. But one of the things that I was wanting to ask you was the Welsh striker, Moore, who got the
Yeah,
equalizer. Glimpses of Giroud in him, good with the head, good with
yeah.
holding the ball up front, but lacks speed, just like Giroud was.
Yeah, I saw a lot of tweets coming out from that with people calling him like the Giroud kind of a player. And to be honest, see, when it comes to Giroud, one of the things that Giroud's aspect that goes unnoticed is like he had a good time at Arsenal. I wouldn't say bad. He had good moments and bad moments. Some of the problem is the bad moments that he had were really really bad, which he had this run where he didn't score at all during the 15-16 season where we finished second. We were competing for the title. So those are the things that got highlighted more. Even the game against Monaco, for instance, where he missed a lot of chances, and that is what Giroud did. But Giroud had other aspects where he combined really well with certain players. He's good at these one-touch combination, and that is what he did at the World Cup. He went off with 0 goals, being the striker, but he did have a couple of assists, if I'm not wrong, and he was good at linking up with the other players. And that is something which, to be honest, maybe which I'm not saying that a player like Giroud that way, who's because you know Arsenal's system where we like our wide guys, Oba who plays to the left half space and Pepe who cuts it. They would have maybe benefited from someone like that who would get the ball, hold up, and maybe put these passes to them, and they could get an opportunity to score. Because we don't really go for the striker to be the main guy. Like you can see how Lacazette has been used this season, right? Where he has been playing like a false nine, like and dropping deep. So yeah,
Yeah, with Giroud, they always said he wasn't an exceptional goal scorer. He was a
yeah,
scorer of exceptional goals. Some of his
goalkeeper
goals
definitely.
were, yeah, some of his goals were just outstanding. But then the
Yeah,
misses that he had were
he
always
had,
in big
yes,
moments, and that is what mattered the most to us.
exactly. And if another thing that gets pointed out with Giroud right now is that, especially at Chelsea, you see he's not a regular he's not a starter. He's not a regular full-time 90-minute player, which shows that he comes on and he's a good impact sub nowadays, which shows that gives him a different dimension, and that is raising his stocks. If he was playing game in game out, maybe certain weaknesses, certain things would have been pointed out of his. He would have held back the team, which is why his stocks tend to rise up, because he comes makes he has impact, and that's when his name is popped up a bit more and more, and people tend to say that, oh, this guy has done so much after leaving Arsenal. But to be honest, he was always that guy. He was the same kind of a player at Arsenal. Maybe there's a slight improvement in terms of he's just getting the job done, but then it's he's not playing the entire 90 minutes and game in game out. So the more time that he's getting, he's making it count, and that's what's helping his cause.
So, moving on from that continent to the other, we have the Copa America starting later
Yeah,
today, and I'm intrigued with that as well because that, like,
yeah,
impacts America, and I will be watching that game. I just hope it's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the usual likes of the it's the Brazils and the Argentinas and
yeah,
the Uruguays that happen to be in the final four on more occasions than
yeah.
not. But last time Chile won it, Alexis Sanchez was an Arsenal player then.
Uh,
But
yeah,
I'm intrigued with that. I would be keeping an eye out on those games as well. So it's going to be a busy week, and
yeah.
I'm happy after the whole last year where COVID was taking over the whole world,
Yes,
football is starting back up. But
yes.
let's from the initial onset that you have
Yeah.
seen,
So that's that.
teams that you feel have impressed the most and are definitely in the quarters from what you have seen so far. What do
Uh,
you
f-
think
in the Euros you're talking about. In
in
the
the Euros?
Euros.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think definitely Italy for me, one of the teams. For me, they are like the dark horse in terms of amongst the favorites, and I feel that they could go on to win it. They have a good chance, in my opinion. And for me, if I have to put my prediction, if I have to put an outside bet, it would be Italy for me. They seem really really strong. Belgium will definitely go far as well, but I don't see them winning it. England as well, the same thing. The way they played today, eventually it will catch up to them. and which other strong team has been yeah, amongst these teams, maybe England or Belgium, one of them would make it to the quarters for sure. But then quarter the semis, I don't think see them reaching the finals or winning. But yeah, Italy for me is a team that can go quite far.
Let's meet up again in the next few days. And
Yeah, sure.
I can tell you one thing that I know: Germany is not being discussed. Germany is not
Yes.
being talked as
Not
much,
yeah.
but they are a team for a big occasion. And I know they had a
Yeah,
horrific
definitely.
World Cup last time around, but
Yes.
they are a team for a big occasion.
True.
So do
That's
not
true.
count them out yet. And I haven't even seen them play yet. I know Yogi Love is going through the worst period of his life, but do not count them out yet.
Yes. Yeah.
And on that note, wrapping up for today. So, guys, thank you for watching us this far. If you have come this far, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know what we are doing right. Let us know if what we are not doing right, and we will be glad to improve on it. And in the next day, we probably might make another show with Arsenal and all the transfers that have been associated with Arsenal in the recent past. But wherever you guys are, stay healthy, stay safe. And any final words, Elroy?
No, okay. I think yes. Sorry, we'll catch up soon with regards to the Arsenal transfers. A lot to discuss on that front as well, and we'll catch up with the next set of games in the Euros and whichever matches we get to watch. Let's just discuss that and see how the rest of the teams are doing.
Good. Thank you for joining,
Yeah,
and we
thank you
will
so much.
talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.